I sent you a file of images, and what we're going to kind of do is it's just brainstorming, of course, and we're going to kind of write down a list of objectives that show the character of your brand. So we're going to use words. We're going to kind of try to focus on trying to build the perfect customer for you, so it's a lot easier for you to create messaging around that customer and around that fan, and kind of, you know, as you push forward. I know that you've been thinking about pushing the rebrand that we created for you in the beginning of the year time frame. So I think this could really help you when you kind of come up with some of your messaging and how you're kind of tailoring that messaging around them, and how you kind of perceive it to them. So what we kind of do first is we just kind of brainstorm over a list of objectives that show the character of your brand. So let's start off by kind of going through, and let's kind of talk a little bit about what kind of customers you're now trying to, what kind of audiences you're trying to bring into your business. Are you sticking to the, are you really trying to focus a lot on the, like you said, the hotel and the leisure kind of atmosphere? Are you eventually going to focus yourself more on the athlete side?
I still love the travel side for sure. But I think the main demographic who I want to hit is mainly B2C businesses. I don't think there's like a specific niche now that after looking at it. I think it's kind of like to hit mainly B2C businesses. I know that's like not the rule, like the biggest no is like, oh, you have a niche, but I feel like I've worked with so many different businesses before, and I wanted the niche down, but like I really feel like I'm always working with multiple businesses. It's mainly like real estate to travel, like it's always something different. And then sports as well too has been a mixture. So
What
it's
I've
kind of hard
noticed,
to
because I'm
hammer
in the
down.
same boat you are. So I
Yeah.
focus on, my verticals come down to be within my niche are anything in sports. And I have regular businesses that come to me as well. And what's great with the regular businesses is it's usually referral based.
Right.
So what usually tends to happen with me is I can focus a lot of my marketing towards the niche that I'm passionate about. And then if a client comes to me and they don't care if you have a niche, it usually when they're referred to you, they don't really mind that much. So I tend to, like, for instance, right now I'm working with athletes, but I do have, like I told you earlier, other clients that I work with. And so the B2C is great. So let's kind of, I know it's still broad, but how do we define that a little bit on, at least try to bring it down a little bit on, you want to focus on B2C businesses that at least have money. So the hard
Yeah.
part is, you have a lot of B2C is so broad, and you have a lot of companies that maybe sell, $2 keychains, and they have to make 1 million sales. And to you, that's just not worth it, because they're making like 30,000 a year, where, you have other clients that are a little bit bigger. And so let's define that B2C a little bit and kind of think of an idea of what that specific client in the B2C, how are you trying to bring them in? So let's talk about some adjectives that we could kind of use in the understanding of your business that you think would really attract your ideal client, because what that will define once you get closer to the end of this, we'll be able to define, oh, now I have kind of a sweet spot. I know I want to work with this kind of person and do this, which means that, man, I can tailor my business around my niche, around just going hardball for, local coffee shops, for instance. I'm using it as an example, but local coffee shops, because it seems like that's where my messaging is going, and that's where those are the kind of people that are going to be interested in my services. So it gives you kind of an idea of, man, maybe I should at the beginning of the year really start my marketing campaign on hard on this specific type of client, because at the end of the day, we all hate tire kickers. So
Exactly.
let's think of some adjectives that we think can really, that you could really benefit from, that would really be beneficial on trying to bring some of these people in. Like, let's talk about your business. What do you think really defines you as a business? What kind of verbiage? And for example, we have like trustworthiness, unique, honest, innovative, in touch with people's needs. Can you think of anything off the
within our
top of your head?
business, within our business, I mean, our tagline is we help you market to millennial and Generation Z customers. So I mainly like, put millennial in there first, because that's like the, the newer generation that's getting hit, that's always distracted, and a lot of the older generation really don't know how to market to them as much. And I mean, like, people that work, that own their own businesses may not know how to market to the younger people. So I kind of hit on that point. I hit on and I have the 3 stages, the 3 different competencies: cinematic visuals, graphic design, marketing. So I say, hey, 3 seconds to grab your attention. So I'm always talking about that. So I guess within niche wise,
So from niche wise, you're trying, so they always say when you're trying to attract customers, you have to attract their customers. And so
mm-hmm.
if we kind of try to think of these people that are trying to attract millennials, what are their biggest pain points, and how can we kind of verbalize your communication to them? What kind of verbiage can we use? And so for instance, would trustworthiness and being unique be something that they'd really find as a trait of yours? Or is it more so energetic, like you're an energetic company because you understand, because a lot of millennials are very energetic, or have that mindset because they're going to want to hire someone that they know can reach that audience. So what are some traits here that we can leverage, that we can think of for your voice, some adjectives that we can think of that can really tailor to that customer? And it's cool too if you want to open a thesaurus. I always like to open a thesaurus because I think it helps a lot. So we could easily,
I mean, yeah, I think that is a fact on that. Like, yeah, energy. That's what we're energetic when we come in and when we're filming something, or the way we market, we want it to be modern, flashy. Yeah, that's a great word to utilize.
energetic. Let's think of some other things. We're going to go to this thesaurus here. I'm going to switch some stuff around. I'm going to share this screen because I think it's going to be easier to showcase. Why does it do that, man? All right. I guess I didn't have to switch it now. It's sharing the opposite screen that I'm sharing with you. I mean, it's recording the opposite screen that I'm sharing with you. It's making it annoying. So energetic. Let's look at this thesaurus. I don't want to use quick because I think quick-witted is our quick is going to emphasize fast results, when that's not really how it works.
Right.
Thesaurus changed the way their website looks. So why don't we kind of think of some other synonyms that, can you think of off the top of your head, dealing with some of these clients that you've worked with, some pain points they may have? And
pain point wise, not getting enough views on the videos when they trying to market it out. Pain point has been not getting enough impressions, enough engagement on those videos. when they're created and marketed. Also, like maybe like the way they shot it was not as enthusiastic, fun. So like the audience is not gravitating towards it as much. I'm trying to think that's been a big issue. Anytime I work with someone, they're like, yeah, like I'm trying to like make sure I catch people's attention. That's why I kind of like tailor my business around it, trying to catch your attention grabbing content.
Attention. What's a good attention? What's a good so we have, you know, thoughtfulness, immersion. I like immersion. That's a good one. Absorption, thought, thinking. We could say something like not critical thinking, but straightforward thinking or something along those natures. I think that straightforward thinking or think something along those lines may work. Absorption, application. What are your thoughts? Do any of these kind of pique your interest?
I'm trying to think. Say it one more time.
Can you see my screen?
No, I can't actually. I can only see where's the buyer persona.
Oh, see, now it's showing you the other screen. Oh, my bad. Okay.
All right. Attention, thinking, thought.
Thoughtful, engrossment. I wonder if there's another word for engrossment, like engaging. Engaging. I like engaging.
Engaging, yes. Yes.
Engaging. We have I don't really like any of these words, to be honest with you. Captivating is a good one. Captivating. Yep. I think likable may be a good one. What do you think about likable?
I like that.
I think everyone has to be likable, though, if they're going to get business. But I know there's a lot of brands out there that portray more of that. Like my baseball player, it's more of a sarcastic, friendly sarcasticness to the tone of their voice, which is not always the same as likable. Enticing. I like enticing.
Fetching, enticing. Glamorous, agreeable, winning. Yeah, enticing. A bewitching process.
I know.
Oh boy.
Savvy may be an interesting one because you're trying to reach someone. You're trying to reach someone that is trying to reach millennials, and I think the millennial mindset, especially with everything you see online, is very savvy. And if you can come off savvy in a positive light, I think that will showcase. I think that savvy will kind of showcase your ability to work with selling to millennials. Sharp, slick. We have keen, experienced. I like experience, but I don't think that you want to come off too much like you're just being dry.
Yeah, everybody uses that though.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, so savvy, experience. Data driven. I don't know. I know it's not on there, but like I think about that data driven.
I like just
ROI.
Driven. Let's not even do driven or ROI. I mean, that's common worded, but I think driven is a good one because it's showing that it can be, it's so broad. Like you're driven, you're inspired, you're pushing forward, you're not mopey and negative, and you can use it. Pushed, consumed, directed, forced. I think motivated use all the time. You don't want to use obsessed because it's a little bit negative. I think driven's a good one. I think we stick with driven. I'm going to put savvy on here just because I think, I mean, you don't have to 100% use these, but I think savvy can help a little bit with the verbiage when you're kind of trying to talk to these people. I think I do think that it could be really good use in a really positive light. So let's go with savvy. Do any other of these catch your eye?
Ambitious does.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Motivated. Everybody uses motivated. Ambitious. Like that.
Ambitious. Can we need one more? So let's put ambitious in here. I'm gonna put one of your other one. I'm just gonna put millennial in here and see what happens. I don't know what any of that means. What do you think when you think of millennials? What do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of millennials?
Distracted.
Yeah, like, but if they're distracted, yes, and that's a good one. So, and that goes to your point of you have to catch their eye within 3 to 10 seconds. So with that said, technology, tech savvy, like we said.
Online. Always online. Yeah.
Tech savvy. Always online, so they're always, and so when you look at your potential clientele that's selling to millennials, what do you think they think of millennials? The same thing? Do you think they think that, oh, they're always distracted, they're always on the internet? And so if that's always the case, and see, I think that's what's funny with what we created your brand, because this is going to showcase that what we've developed, the brand that we created for you, even though we did it before, how it kind of meshes towards that, because we use brighter colors. We used more symmetrical type, we went very symmetrical with it. So it really catches the eye of that target audience. But if we kind of hit millennials and we kind of say, what about their trust factor? Like, yes, you have the 10-second rule, but when you think of a millennial, how do they trust a company? It's different than older generations. Older generations, trust a company through reviews and stuff like that, where newer millennials, I think that they have a little bit more knowledge of technology and how it works. And so I think that from my perspective, and I am a millennial, but I'm at the very beginning stages of millennial, so it's hard for me to say that I'm a millennial, but and I could be biased here. We both could be biased here, but I would say that quality is, and user experience is very needed when it comes to selling a millennial, because I think that they trust companies more so off of how they present themselves and less so reviews, if that makes sense. If a millennial sees, and I see this all the time with myself, if I see a website or I see a commercial that I know some company, went out and went to Fiverr for it, I'm like, dude, really? Like, if you're really spending nothing on your own marketing, what makes me think that you're spending quality? You're at making a quality product or a quality service. So I think that we kind of look off of quality and sort, attribute, affirmation, effective. These are all boring. Make, property. Definition. It's funny that you said impression. We have engaging on here, and we talk about engagement, and we also talked about impressions. So I think that I actually think that quality is derived from a first impression. So I think maybe impression's a good one because it kind of ties two things together. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, first you only get like the first impression to grab someone's attention. So that first impression is what makes them gravitate towards your brand.
And so it's already making me think a little bit here about how you can market your voice around these B2B companies. Like, you can say, hey, helping to work with millennials, and this is just going off my head right now. So, but you can enticefully, and that's what's great about marketing, is you can enticefully use the word engaging.
Right. I'm still here.
You what?
No, I'm still here. I just had to close the door real quick.
Oh, okay. You can totally use the word engaging and impression in some way, form, or another. And reaction response. Yeah. So you want to give an impression to these audiences by talking more savvy and driven to build that first impression with them. So that's the kind of verbiage that you should be kind of writing about when you're writing your social media content. When you're writing to them, try to come up with content that's gonna build that first impression on you, and it's gonna be enticing and yet savvy, but it's gonna be captivating. So instead of just going on there and being like, this is how you go in and you make a video, you can be more enticing about it and come up with a unique way of verbally communicating with them and grabbing their attention by maybe asking a really engaging question, a question that already has an answer around that. Like, you're savvy, you're driven, so how do you think you can easily go on there and be like, how do you think we do our videos? Like, or how do you feel about that? That comes off like you're savvy, you're driven, and you're showcasing the answer at the same time. And these are just, of course, me brainstorming as we go along. But so if we were to do a brand voice sheet right now, and we were just looking over through some of these words, and this is a trait meter that we do as the next step now that we have some of these brand voice adjectives, and we kind of break it down a little bit and how that tone is going to be written through those types of adjectives. So if we go down this list, let's go down this list together, and you can kind of talk about how you feel like your messaging and your voice in general is going to be best described to these individuals. Now, do you feel, when you look at sincerity, how do you feel about these? If you kind of just want to go down the list and kind of brainstorm over them and put a meter on 1 through 5, 5 being the best and 1 being the worst, let's kind of go through and type these out.
I'll say 5 was sincerity.
Well, no, it said this is a list right here of types of sincerity keywords that we do. So
Oh, okay. I see.
yeah, so the first one's going to be down to earth.
I got you. So you're down to earth. I would say 5 because that's how I try to be like transparent, down to earth with people. Family oriented. Um, I would say like a 4 because like it's like family oriented but still business at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I agree. And that's
Like,
one of the problems I see with a lot of athletes is I agree that you should be very family oriented and talk stuff about your family. But if you're really trying to sell something or you're really trying to gain sponsors, I think that you need to only show so much in your personal life, even if you are an influencer or an athlete. So, well, for small town feel, I'd say a 1. Wouldn't you agree?
small town feel. Being sincere about that. I say like like a 2, I
2.
guess.
Honest.
5. Sincere, sincere. Um,
And then here it is. Here's the actual sincere word. So you said a
da-da-da.
5 before. So
5 as well. Yeah, wholesome. I say 5 original. With the brand, I'll say with that 5. I mean, when I say original, like ideas come from everywhere, so I don't think I'm thinking too much. But um,
that's part of this. That's part of this. This is it's going to help you think. So when
yeah,
I see wholesome, whenever I think wholesome, I think of country. I always think of like country, small town. You know, oh, that's very wholesome. They're very,
I see.
and if we're going for savvy, I can already kind of picture a little bit of how we're going to kind of go with some of this stuff and how you can still have a down to earth, honest feel um, without. I don't know. Nothing against being wholesome, but I don't know. What do
Not
you think?
within that, not within the brand. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't seem like it's within the brand. So maybe we put a 2.
Like a 2 there. Yeah, original. I'll say so. Being original, open. I'll say it's kind of weird. Like I'm just trying to match it up. Like being original, sincere, but being original within Iron Visuals. I mean, I would say that's like a 4, I guess. Being yeah, it's kind of
Maybe a 3. I mean, right in the middle. I think sounds good.
original.
Like with some of these, it's like we're original, but
We're taking ideas from other places and then making it our
yeah,
own.
and make it better. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
kind of a hard one.
cheerful.
Cheerful.
Yes, that's got to be a 5 because the energy aspect.
Yeah,
Sentimental. I'll say like a 2. That ruggedness. So
yeah, yeah.
outdoorsy.
This is how you're gonna feel about, and this will go a little bit more into as we talk through as you kind of writing it. How do you really want to? Do you want to sound tough? Do you want to sound rugged? Outdoorsy?
Hmm. That's a good one. Oh, okay. Outdoorsy, I would say it would be like a 3.
Good call. That's what I was gonna go after.
Like a 3. Masculine, it's like a 2.
Western 1.
Western 1. Yeah, and the masculine part because I've been putting up a lot of like on the site a lot of women like to like on the site to kind of promote the show. I don't know why I've done that, but like I don't know. I see people gravitate more towards, and it's not even like, oh, she's wearing something sexy. No, it's just having a beautiful woman on there that's just walking through the grass, like within my marketing. And some people are like, oh, like this is your brand, yeah, this is. And like, oh, like cool. Like when they see like a flyer or something like that. So like, yeah, I can see like, yeah, it's been more like not more mostly feminine, but like I've kept it like a mixture, but mainly like showing a lot of women.
So maybe
Tough.
we should do masculine 3 because I think that it's hard when you say that you're putting women up. I don't know if you're a beautiful woman, if you're doing it more for empowering women, or if you're doing it more for engaging that male perspective of using a hot woman to.
It's both. It's both. Like, you know, in all honesty, like, yeah, you get someone who sees someone who's beautiful, that catches their eye. Cool. Like, yeah, that's like everybody talks in marketing. Like, that's been like a lot of issues have come up because of that. But I'm not doing it in that way. I'm doing it like, hey, you see someone beautiful, cool. I am empowering women because you do see sometimes women aren't put on sites correctly, or I'm trying to put up beauty, art, kind of that mindset behind it, I guess. So, yeah, it's kind of weird balance, but this is good conversation. Good, we're talking about it. It's good.
See, now you're starting to feel it a little bit. I had a feeling at the beginning you were a little bit hesitant, but it does. It starts bringing stuff up. It starts bringing stuff up in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So tough and rugged. I mean, I would kind of say
like a 3, like a 2 to 3.
Yeah, let's go with 2, because when you're too tough, it brings on, it puts people up in defense. It depends on
Yeah.
what your brand is. If you're really going for, weight equipment, and you're selling weight equipment, then yeah, you're going to want to be more rough because your main demographic is men for the most part. That's probably you're probably still women, but it depends on the weight equipment, of course. But and then rugged's the same way. I don't think that you're out there promoting how to ride a horse, or it's not like you're going to be like randomly have some person riding a horse and tackling a bull, and I don't think that makes really sense with what we're trying to do here. Sophistication. So this is
Class.
gonna,
I would say like we're like a 3. We're like a 3 in that we're like, yeah, we're like a 3 in that we're not like too luxury. Nothing. We're out there. We'll be in luxury places. We'll be in, torn up town, whatever it is. We're all over the place. Good looking. That's a 5. The brand look good looking. I'll say like,
it is.
yeah, it's gotta be. Gotta be good looking, glamorous. I'll say like that's a 2. We're not like glam band,
Yeah, you don't want to be
charming.
too over the top. If you come off too sophisticated, which it emphasizes, a higher selling point, but it also brings on a different class of individuals. That's for sure.
Right.
Charming. I think that goes. I think that goes hand in hand with the savvy. I mean, you don't want to go too high on it because some people.
That's a 2.
You think it's a 2?
I think that's like a 2. Because we're charming. I'm just trying to think. This is charming.
It matters how you take it. It could come off negative, so I can understand why you say it was a 2.
Yeah. I was about to say we probably bump it to a 3, but yeah, it's like a weird one. That's a weird one. Feminine. I'll say 3 on that. Same as Matt. We'll just balance that out.
I agree. Yeah. Smooth 2 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the good ones. Excitement. So daring.
We'll say like that's a 4.
Trendy.
That's a 5. Exciting, 5. Spirited, 3. Actually, no, that's a 4. Cool, 5. Young, 5. Well, yeah, it's like young and old kind of mixture. Keep it imaginative, 5. Unique, 5. Up to date, 5. Independent. Independent, independent. So weird. I say that's like a 4. And then contemporary is a 3.
Reliable, competent. So this one's gonna. build into more of the likable atmosphere and really help calm down the savviness a little bit.
Reliable 5, hardworking 5, secure, like in ourselves, within the client. I'm confused with that one.
Secure in just general. Like if you talk about when you're writing people and you're writing your posts and stuff, or you're writing your content, I think you have to come off when you're coming off reliable and secure. And by secure, it just means you're not saying anything that sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. I think like, oh, what do you guys think of this? I don't know. Like you come off very uncompliant and you don't have an answer. So it's like, it looks like it's you know, are you coming off of more of like you're going to ask questions for a lot of questions of people? It not being secure could be a good thing depending on your brand and what you're trying to sell. But overall, I'm really kind of looking at this for your brand and bringing the energetic that you need to be very secure. Because if you're not and you're energetic, then it could come off as a negative vibe.
Gotcha. 5, yeah. Intelligent 5, technical. It's like too technical. I think technical is like a 3. Corporate is a 2. Successful is a 5. Leader 5. Confident is a 5. I mean, got to be confident in your brand. Can't be.
We have a lot of 5s here. When we get to the end of this in our next meeting, you're going to have some
some changes going to be made after we dive into more.
Okay, so next, so what we usually do from here is this is when we kind of dive into the buyer personas on an introduction. So as you know, we've already kind of talked about this. The buyer personas are basically the fan profiles. And we kind of go in and we kind of create imaginary people that you would like to be a client. And that way it really helps when you're kind of going out there and you're imagining these types of clients that you want, and you're coming up with your brand voice, your design, your development, everything that you're doing. It really just helps guide you. And what would this person do? What would this person like? What would this person do to help you attract that type of audience to you as an individual? So what we're going to do from here is I'm going to move this one over here, and I'm going to go back to that sheet that I had open. This one, and you can see this, the buyer persona now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I sent you a link, and in that link, you should have a list of images. Go into the shared, the one at the very bottom of the profile images. There's a profile resized folder, which is just a smaller version of the other one. So it's going to be easier to save this. But look at them, go through a couple of them. You don't have to go through all of them if you don't want. And just start looking at, and think about the background as well of what's behind some of these images. Some of them are just gray, but look at the individual and think to yourself, which one of these people would I like to work with, just from a visual perspective, and kind of give me an idea of the number and then the that you're talking about, and then you can just tell me the row and which location they're in, and we'll end up making 3 of these. But for now, for this meeting we'll just do 1, and then our next meeting we'll come back to making the other 2 and finalizing everything out.
Okay. Let's see here. It's a good drill right here. I like this. All right, so which one is it? On 11. kind of skipped over on 11 and resized the 11th one. That's 81646 418. The number, the first row, second guy.
The guy with the glasses.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm on number 1. The first image, 13193802. The first row, fifth guy.
And so we're only going to do one right now. So
There's one. My bad. Okay,
yeah, we'll
good.
do the other two later. So which one would you like to prefer to start with?
We can start with the first one.
Okay, I'll probably battle you a little bit on the second one. To me, when I look at him, his age, I feel like he's a little bit young, and I know you're working towards millennials. But at the end of the day, is the actual B2B company going to be at that age where we feel like he's going to be able to afford your services?
Yeah, I mean, all depends at this point. Maybe there's a smaller demographic. What I was thinking about, there's some guys that I have done business with and met that have been in that demographic that's making over $1 million, doing e-commerce or doing some type of work that's online. So I guess that I may see more people like that may be in the online world doing something. If it's more of a structured business, definitely a suit and tie or business casual type of looking guy. Yeah, kind of be. Yeah. So definitely.
Sam, this is your guy right here. I can see what you're saying, because you are going to get some of those online people that are going to want commercials and stuff. So when we look at him, let's talk about his age. I mean, his gender. We know he's a male.
Age is probably like 35. 35 to 40. I mean, he don't look 40. Like 35. There. Yeah. Either married or single, depends on. That's the thing. Yeah, it may be some people are married and not and single.
Well, look at it this way. Are you, because this goes back into, if you think about what we were talking about earlier, if he's family, or if you're not sticking to the family oriented side as much, maybe you're we don't have to take this 100% too serious. I mean, I'm not like saying that you're going to go out there tomorrow and you're going to find someone and he's going to be right. Demographic, he's not going to be married, or he is going to be married. You're going to be like, oh, sorry, can't work with you. It's going to be more so when you're doing your outreach and you're doing your social media and you're talking about the services that you provide. We're already talking about family oriented. So it's family, or if this person has a family and he's married, he's going to be much more family oriented, because all fathers are. And even if they have a business, I mean, not every single father, we won't get into that, but so are you going to tailor some of that messaging around that? And to me, it sounds like we're kind of sticking, not going to say away from it, because we kind of put a 3 in the family oriented spot, but this person is probably going to be more business oriented than a family man. So I would say he's not married. And that's nothing against, not like he doesn't want to get married. He's just focusing on his business right now, or focusing on stability. So I would say he doesn't have any focuses on kids as of right now. Where would you think this person lives? Like what cities in the United States do you think that you feel, oh, we didn't give him a name either. Let's name this dude. What do you want to name him? What do you think his name would be?
Zach Johnson.
You're going to go with my name, huh? Not my last name.
But... Zach Johnson. No, this is actual person. That's what actual person I've met before. So I was like, oh shoot, look just like him.
That's funny. That's funny how that works. So where does this person live then? Where would you say this person?
Well, I think he lived. Well, if you want to keep they lived in Utah, but I think most people will come from like, I don't know, like a bigger
LA, Florida.
LA, Jersey.
I think that since you're going for a much more energetic atmosphere, I don't. I know New York is really big and there's a lot of moving parts, but when we're thinking about millennials and we're thinking about those kind of business savvy people that are trying to reach millennials, I don't know if their personalities fit New York. I think that their personalities are more so an LA type,
Right.
or a Florida type. So,
Right. I got you.
would we say? Do you think California is a much safer bet than?
Yeah, we could say Cali. Mm-hmm.
And so, what does this person do for a living?
This person, they are. Let's see. They work with a. Let's see, California. All right, they work with a. I'm trying to think of a brand out there connected with. All right, tea, selling tea, selling like Tazu. Was it those tea packets? Like I forgot exactly which one I'm trying to.
I know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, I'm talking about like that big wave a couple years ago. Like everybody's just trying to sell tea, and one of those type of guys.
selling, I would say online, right?
Online, yeah.
Or you think they're more of a local company?
Now let me stay out of e-commerce right now because I kind of feel like. Give me one second. I'm just trying to think of like the consistency I've had with customers.
Because I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if this guy was. Are they more of a? They're 35, so they're trying to reach millennials. Millennials buy everything online, more so than in-store shopping. So
Yeah.
I would say that.
It's mainly e-commerce.
Yeah, I think that you would either have to tell them how we're going to reach millennials is we're going to have to create you an online store, or you're create your videos more around create the videos more around create the videos more around you know millennials walking or something like that. So selling tea, well, I'm kind of overthinking it.
Let's go with I don't know, like that backpack brand, I guess. I think the other brand backpacks, meals. There's been a lot of stuff we've done.
So what would just his job title be? Would he just be an owner?
Jack Tile is going to be.
Is he an owner? Is he the marketing director? Is he?
He'll be a marketing director. Marketing director, or if they're smaller, basically CEO. CEO, I'll get lucky sometimes and get to talk to them, but I'll say marketing director mainly.
So what do you think he makes? What do you think that?
Between 70K and
marketing directors usually make, like, especially in LA, they're going to make at least 100.
Oh, okay. That's real talk. Yeah. All right. 100, 6 figures. You're making 6 figures. So you're making 100K, 100K to 120K.
We'll just do 120K. So his education is most likely going to be an MBA, you would think. So you have an understanding of. So what is his role in the buying purchase? He's not the owner of the company, but he's shopping around. So what would make him? What is his role? Is he second in command? Does he have to get permission from his boss? Would you say he's second in line to
second in command when it comes to marketing decisions? So he's like the head of that. So he'll let the CEO know of what the best move is to make and the CEO will let him make that move without hesitation, unless the CEO's a control freak or something. But like mainly they'll have control to make that decision.
So now we're going to look at his goals and values. And these don't have to be from a business perspective because he's a marketing director. They can be personal as well. It doesn't have to go, we don't have to go straight into business here. So what do you think his goals as Zach Johnson's goals are?
His goals
in life in general. And that could include business, of course.
Zach Johnson likes to, goal wise, he wants to be able to. That is a good question. Yeah, I haven't done this in a minute, so. Okay, Zach Johnson loves to. He wants to be able to. And this is personal goals, not for the company.
It could be either or. I mean, if one of his personal goals you think is to move up in a company, then that could be.
Okay.
That could be one of his goals.
He wants to be. Yeah, he wants to become a CEO of a company at some point down the road. So he's very like attentive to detail. Like he's basically, like you say, second in command. So he's like a very attentive to detail. Manages his team correctly.
So he manages his team correctly. So one of his goals sounds like it's being very attention to detail is big for him.
Attention to detail. Yep. Goals. Wants to provide for his family, make sure his family is good. So he doesn't take his job.
He doesn't have a family. So,
I bet. Well, one day he wants to have. Oh, never mind. Let me.
So is that one of his goals, or to eventually have a family, or if he's really business oriented right now and he's focusing on growing, maybe one of his goals right now is taking care of. I mean, usually at that age, if you're very business oriented but you're not married yet, one of your goals is to take care of other family members. You know, make sure that your parents are financially set, or making sure that your brother or your sister are doing well. And they tend to bring that, not control, but that kind of personality from the business side over to the personal. So being good.
Like giving back to his family.
I like giving back.
Yeah, good brother, good son. Yeah.
Giving back sounds a lot better. Giving back for his all right, I think that's good. I think those are some good ones. All right, now let's look into his values. So those are his goals. One of his goals is growing becoming a CEO, becoming better, at attention to detail, and giving back for his accomplishments. It's kind of his goals he's kind of looking at right now now when his values come in. So this one's tricky because it's similar to goals, but it's not. So his values are more so like he's on it. He likes to be honest. He sees himself as an honest person. That's what he values as a person, is honesty, or
he values
stuff like that.
Values integrity, transparent. It values transparency and delivery.
I hate when you misspell a word so bad it doesn't even give you the correct.
It doesn't even find it. Yeah, I've done that multiple times.
Integrity. I think that's how you spell it. I got it. Nice. So challenges.
Pain points we talked about before. So like they have trouble creating some type of marketing video. Yeah, I'll stick to what I'm best at. Marketing video that can
Let's go a little
really
broader than that. So his problem then would be, his challenges would be his attention to what is the attention to detail that he's trying to become better at. So I would say quality in
quality
delivery.
content.
That sounds like a challenge. Does that kind of relate to what you were just saying?
Yeah, quality and deliverables.
I would say one of his challenges is he's a workaholic. I'd say he's probably a workaholic, and he's trying to find more time for
other things.
For other things. And we could put that down to time management.
Mm-hmm.
Time management, and I don't know. I feel like these kind of people, that one of their biggest challenges. I know I'm married, but I think I fall into this one a bit. Is lack of communication or other people. I think other people don't have the same energy and have the same drive that he has, and so it's very hard for him, as a challenging, to be on other people's levels, if that makes sense.
I see. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very nice way to say it. So very similar to values. What could we say are pain points from these challenges?
Creativity. On time delivery, or
timing.
Yeah, and being on people's level. Having understanding, is that having an understanding.
Communication.
Yeah.
All right, now before we get to the funner stuff, I don't know how much you've gone into this, so you can tell me right now, or we could save it, and that could be your homework for before we jump on the next call. Have you done any research on competitors or other people that you look up to, that you feel like are trying to get the same message across as you are?
Yeah, I've done that. I have my business plan I've written out, and took time to look at who is similar to, and I think I've definitely changed up my brand messaging a couple of times, so I have to definitely go back and look at that again.
Okay.
But yeah, haven't done that since I've made the new changes to the site and everything.
All right, so then we'll kind of keep that blank for now, and you can just, on our next call in a couple weeks, you can go in and you can just let me know what those are, and we can either talk about them on our next call, or you can give them to me beforehand and I can put them in here.
Okay.
So what are some of his objections to maybe some of these competitors or in general, on when he's trying to make a purchase, when he's going out and he's searching for someone to do videos? What do you think some of his objections on making a purchase are? So why wouldn't he purchase from you? What are some of the
lacking detail on services and deadlines and all that? Like, yeah, just lacking detail and not explaining it and breaking it down enough. If it's explained too simple, like in the sense of like, we're charging you $10,000, that's our price. Not gonna buy, probably not just gonna buy from you. He's gonna ask tons of questions, and if you can't answer those questions, it's gonna be an issue. So yeah, lacking detail when explaining services or the proposal.
So I'd say lack of details on services, but also communication, as we've seen one of his other challenges, because you could be very good at still giving them showing them details on your services, but if your communication's not there in the buying cycle or in the talking cycle, then I think that he's going to be like, well, this guy hasn't reached out to me. And it's the opposite. Some people are very like, I hate when people contact me every day, so you have to find a medium. So I think that this shows that, hey, you know, this guy's okay with you communicating with them if you're trying to reach out and get an update on things, but you have to keep it in moderation. So I say communicating non-technical, but still in a way that, you know, energetic, that still sounds like they're important to you, and that you're giving them the information needed, even besides the services. So I think that communication's a big one. And then anything else that you can think of?
Communication, objection wise. The times it'll take to complete the specific projects. So when I say time, like they're like, oh, we could just do that ourselves. And that, if that's the case, we could just do it ourselves, and not understanding the time it takes, and not understanding. Yeah, I think time versus value with time. So their objection will be like, well, so yeah, we could just do it ourselves or on our own, but they might not understand like what the process behind it. So that could be like an objection.
So this is very similar to the other ones.
I was thinking, what else? Because some company, they have the money. It's just.
But what are their considerations before buying? Exactly.
Another one could be like they've been burnt in the past, so like they don't want to get burnt again.
Trust.
By another company.
So trust value.
Trust issues.
Trust issues. That goes back to how do you build something in your communications and building that trust? Is it the way you communicate with them? Is it your offerings? Is it a money back guarantee? I hate money back guarantees in our industry.
I won't do that. I won't do that. Top considerations before buying. I think the biggest is a trust. John, trust. Yeah, I think trust, and then like delivery. Like I already know we wrote it down, but like when they feel comfortable with that first product, then they're like, "Hey, like I love it. Let's do another one." Now they're excited to pay more. So I think. I'm trying to think the best way to say it. Trust. Oh, understanding their brand, understanding who they are, having understanding. Yeah, that's a good one, because some people don't. Yeah, they'll just say, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and then hey, what's to do Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever it is, or make of it, and not ask them what they actually want, and just forcing it. Yeah. So understanding. And then let's see. Understanding. Money. It always comes down to that. So.
I mean, it doesn't have to though. I mean, if you're looking for someone that's 35 years old, not married, and he's works the CEO, I mean, I just had a prospect recently that we've been dealing with that we got to the point where they wanted us to send over a scope, um, and they're in the sports industry and they want us to send them over a scope of work. First, they were like, send us over a proposal, and they didn't tell us. They gave us after just one phone call. It's like, we can't just send you over a strategy. We'll send you over a rough strategy and we'll go over it. This is some of the thoughts that we can do. And so we did that. And now they want a scope of work without giving us a guesstimate of price. And yeah, so it comes down to price at that point, to the point that I don't even want them as a client, because I realize that this isn't my demographic of individuals I'm trying to work with. If you're not comfortable with giving us a rough price point or a rough idea of some of the things you're looking at, then I'm just wasting my time on what I'm going to give you. So with this guy in mind, he already makes 120 a year. He's an MBA. His boss trusts him, is having him go out and look for someone. Let's just say you've already given him a good attention to detail. You've been communicating with him. He has a good understanding of your value and your time. And money may be an issue, but maybe those bigger companies that have the money understand value. So if you're able, and this guy already looks like one of his challenges is the quality and deliverables. So if you're already talking about quality with him and how much money it takes for quality, you should be at a point where your consideration of money shouldn't be an issue.
Right.
To understand. So maybe it's
why should they spend that amount of money? Like, even though like they have it, why should they? Oh, no, yeah, you're right. I see what you mean. Like, if there's already a budget set, boom, like we could work. Like, we understand now where to work.
Even if it's not that, even if it's like, if I communicated with that prospect a little more clearly and said, hey, all right, if you don't have you don't want to give us a spend because you're basically price gouging and you're trying to get 3 different things, at least tell us, what do you want? You want a Cadillac? Do you want a Dodge Viper? Or do you want, a Prius? Like, what are you looking for here? What kind of strategy are you looking for? So being upfront about how much work they want involved, I think is key. So why should they spend? I think if you are, this one's a hard one because I think money is always an issue, but I think of how do you, if you've already built trust with them, they have an understanding. I don't think money's an issue. So let's just put money, but put if above aren't met. So I think that gives you a clear understanding of maybe you should never talk about money when you're doing your stuff. And I think that goes back to, maybe I don't even need to show my prices on my website or do anything like that, because if the companies that I want coming to me, I'd rather have a phone call with them first to build that trust and understanding. So I don't need to put money on the website. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you realize, hey, maybe we do have to talk money. And I just straight up say, these are our prices. These are roughly around our prices. And so you build that trust on the initial phone call and the understanding on those initial phone calls, and the way you verbalize your messaging on Instagram and getting sponsors and stuff like that. You build that trust in there so that the money issue doesn't come up. If that makes sense.
Right. No, that makes sense. So
Top
that's good stuff.
Considerations forward buying. So we're going to put this here. So my other sheet, what I've done is I put, where's their specific problems? I'm going to put that here. So if you could come up with a simple, after looking at this stuff, if you could come up with a simple, hold on. That's the best. And this one's hard because we don't have a writer in front of us, but it's good to, so it doesn't have to be crazy. But if we could have an elevator pitch for this person in 30 seconds or less, let's just try to think of a very rough 2-sentence phrase that we could put up here that that you could potentially use to sell this individual. So if we look at some of these,
utilizing what we used already here out of these words, not what I already have.
We want to be captivating, engaging. We want to be energetic. So maybe you start off with a question that can be answered within the pitch. I think that's good. So it could be something as simple as, time shouldn't be. I don't like to use the word time because yes, I think the problem that most individuals get is time is a factor, but I think what ends up happening is they get something too quick and it comes out on quality, and then you have vice versa where you have the companies that aren't quality, but they also overextend too much. So I think that I think that we come up with something like a question like, is your current, and just be straightforward, because I know that we know communication is a key here. So we can be very straightforward but energetic, and go off of like the why go for and savvy, like why go for
why waste money on
why waste, yeah, but that's used so much. Why waste money?
Why not
I like why not pay for quality?
Yeah, that's an interesting one to kind of work on. Why not pay for? Why not buy for quality?
And this is where the savvy comes in, because you're basically giving them a question and you're giving them an answer.
Why not buy for quality? Because why not buy for quality when you have
simple? I like the word like simple. This is where the savvy comes in. Simple.
Why not buy for quality? Simple, right? No, wait. Why not buy for quality? Simple. You just, okay, I see where you're going. Why not buy for quality? Simple.
And I don't want to use the words you like to see results, because I feel like everyone says we give results. So we have to think of something a little more
creative. Why not buy for quality? Simple. When marketing the millennials, you need to captivate your audience. I'm just coming up.
I like something more about the person, because his pain points are timing. He really works on timing, time efficiency, and this and that. And so we have to think of in terms of his pain points. And so we have to say something along the lines of,
Simple. You need eyes on.
I don't want to be cliche, but something along the lines of simple. You want the best, you pay the best, or you.
Oh, I see what you're.
Simple.
But quite simple.
You thrive. You thrive for the best.
Simple. You value. What about utilizing value? Or everybody uses that as well too.
Yeah.
Simple. You.
And you could use some sort of. This one's a cliche one, like I said, with the cars, but you could utilize some sort of in a marketing perspective on.
Go ahead. I like the car. I like something with the car. Maybe like I always.
How do we relate that? How do we relate that to marketing? To the individual, though. I mean, the car one's used so much. I feel like.
You either put unleaded gas. You either put why put unleaded gas in a Ferrari when you could put your premium fuel? I don't know.
I like the direction. I just don't think.
I put premium. I put unleaded gas in the Ferrari when you need to put that premium fuel to see captivating results.
Something like this. Something like simple premium. I like the word premium.
Simple premium.
Simple premium fuel.
Why not buy for quality? Simple. Premium fuel outperforms. Fuel outperforms.
What's another word for cheap gas? Like unleaded just doesn't. Yeah,
unleaded is just too. Yeah.
And we're not working towards cars either. I mean, you're going to B2B that's growing up for millennials here, so.
See here.
Or we could go even more technical, a little bit technical here, and go electric outperforms premium. And that way it's like you're saying the premium of everyone says are the best. And that shows the efficiency and the creativity, because you're kind of saying, hey, like, you might have this fancy car and the overly priced stuff, but the electric is like right in the middle. It's still expensive, it's still quality, but it still outperforms gasoline any day of the week, when it comes to mileage and cars. So you could go something along that route too. Or use something more technical. I like the premium fuel outperforms.
Simple. Premium fuel outperforms.
Or we could use a different analogy altogether. Like, what's something else that people, what's one thing that you could see this person not doing?
Not doing?
Not doing. Like, do you think these kind of people shop at the dollar store?
No.
Why wouldn't they shop at the dollar store?
Because they got money to shop at.
They got money to shop somewhere else, and they understand the same pain point. They're like, I know if I go to the dollar store and I buy food there, or I buy anything at the dollar store, it's going to break in 2 days. It's not going to work. Why would I spend $1 when I could buy 10 and I actually know it's working? So it's that same thing on the bigger level. So you could just even go simpler and go like simple. and use like a dollar store for something, use like the dollar store or something like that and go simple. Would you shop at a dollar store? Like something like that, you know, I think that's kind of hitting this guy's pain points right away. It's showing that, oh, why not shop for quality? And then you go right into simple. Would you shop at a dollar store? And it makes him think, and he's going to be like, I don't want to use dollar store, but I think we could come up with something very similar to dollar store. It's the cheap side that you know doesn't work. But I think we can use something along those lines that we know that they shop for the better quality product, and it relates to products too. So is there any sort of product that you see that this person might use on a normal basis that you know that they're going to buy besides a car? I know we've talked about a car, but cars and fridges are very similar in the fact that you can buy one that's 90 and one that's 20, and they're going to go out at the same time. The miles, it's really just down to the miles. So I think we need to use something else.
I'm thinking. How about this? Let me sit. I need to sit down and think about that. That's a
good one, right? Do you like the direction though? Because we've kind of we're kind of showing the savviness. We're kind of bringing in the quality, and this doesn't have to be final. What we'll do when we finish is we'll go over a chart at the end, and we'll put a description for each, and we'll say the do's and the don'ts for each one, and then you'll be able to react to which of your personalities would like that kind of messaging. So
okay.
But I like the direction of this. I agree. I think you sit down.
You sit down and think, yeah, because it's such a simple sentence to write, but it's like it's a powerful statement as well too. It has to be powerful.
It has to be powerful, and we don't want to go too cliche, but that's why simplicity is so hard, man. You want to get someone in one or two simple questions, and I like the question. I think that's something that we came up here. One thing that we dived into here when you're writing your stuff, I think that a lot of people will go out and ask people questions and assuming that all the people will give the answer, but you're still trying to come in as the likable but enticing. You're driven, captivating. So you're still captivating the audience because you're asking a question, but also giving them an answer in a way that makes you feel confident and savvy at the same time. And it will relate to, I think, your demographic quite well if you can verbally do that in a lot of your messaging, is say, hey, let's start off with a question that we actually answer. I don't see too many people doing that. I mean, you do see some people doing it, but I mean, it's very rarely, especially on social media. Like, it could be as simple as, you know, you start writing, come up with a campaign on social media where you start talking about why do people, and this is a way for you to answer all the crap without sounding like you're being a dick, is you can easily, like, why do people always buy cheap things? And you say, because they don't understand the value of good quality. Or you could say, you know, and you could do stuff like that and showcase your portfolio pieces, or showcase or even other things like social media. Why do people use content calendars, or why do people do this? And I don't want to say everything you ever do has a question, but I think it's a good direction. So I think we can build off that.
No, it's good. Let me sit down and think about that. I'm gonna write it out a little bit more.
So let's start off. I'm sharing my screen right now. I know you don't have the customer profiles in front of you. So last time we chatted, can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
So last time we chatted, we created Zach Johnson. I know one of the big things that you were going to kind of look into is some of the places that Zach seems to be shopping at right now. Just to just to summarize, we are looking through Zach Johnson, who who's basically he's not married, lives in California, makes about $120 a year. He's creative. He loves what is his specific problem is he lacks he really values creativity, timing from his employees and what he does day to day, and communication. So the top considerations before he buys are trustworthiness, understanding, and money. So we kind of came up with kind of a rough pitch. We didn't finish it. You were going to think about this a little bit. So if you didn't have time, maybe the best bet is to, after our call, I'll kind of just throw in a small to-do and say, hey, try to think of a small elevator pitch for what we kind of came up with, because it's been a couple weeks since we worked on this. So it's probably in the back of your head a little bit. But did you have time to kind of think about what kind of places Zach Johnson may some of the competitors that you may think that he may be looking at for when he outsources or when he goes to try to buy quality videos and quality commercials and things of that nature? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. My bad. I was muted. He's looking for someone, something specific to the project. So he's going to work with a company that can be niche specific for a particular thing. So if they specialize more in creating product type commercials, like anything with a cologne bottle, or they're more specializing with super cinematic visuals at a high level, movie like visuals and acting. They would look for that. So they're constantly looking for niche specific movie or film topics, I guess, if that makes sense.
Specific. So what I think is going to be a good goal after this, and I think you've probably already kind of done it a little bit, but I think it will help you target out a little bit more on finding your competitors. Some of the competitors you're going to be working against, is that you can kind of go in and pick 2 or 3. I don't think that you need 6, but we could, depending on how many you find, is kind of go through and try to find companies that do these specific things. And that way it will really help you define, all right, these are the kind of competitors that I need to focus on when I'm, growing myself digitally, when I'm creating my voice, when I'm creating all that stuff. These are the people that I will look at, so I know how they're tailoring their message, and I know the do's and don'ts and how to do my stuff better. So after the call, not now, but before our next meeting, what I recommend is kind of going through, and I'll keep these in here and I'll send these to you after the call, but kind of use these as kind of a direction on, all right, now I'm going to search for some of these online, see if I can find some, and not really critique them, but really say, all right, these are going to be competitors, because that way, as you grow, and you start developing your voice towards this niche as you're trying to do right now, that you can kind of, not going to say copy them, but you can kind of use them as guidance on what to do and what not to do. So go ahead and I'll send this to you after, and I'll put it in the list to do for after that. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to take this. So we're going to start, and we're going to create a secondary profile. We'll probably only create 2 due to time restrictions. So we'll have Zach Johnson, we'll have one other person, and we'll try to finalize try to finalize some of the voice and the tone and stuff with what we originally came up with. So first thing we're going to kind of go over is I'm going to review just real fast. Actually, I'm going to keep on. We're going to kind of go through this next person. We're going to create a real picture of an additional person. And we're going to kind of go through, them. Since you don't have your laptop, since you're driving right now, what we'll do is I'll kind of open them up. And I know you already had someone specific from last time we chatted. And I think this will help have the creative juices flow a little bit more.
I actually have I'm on my lap right now, by the way. Yeah, that makes it easy.
Yeah, it probably makes it easier if I just go through. So remind me of a person. Let's kind of go through these one by one, and we'll kind of go through, and maybe you can find another person that you may want to, that would be considered.
So I actually will go with one of the clients I recently required, and there was two similar clients. That look different, but like similar. So they're not on this list. I wonder if you have another one.
Just tell me when to stop.
Keep going. Okay. The girl. All right. The girl on the bottom right, or the last row right. Yeah.
Sure.
Two clients. Inbound leads. Similar. Different. Look different, but similar.
How did you end up? How was their inbound? How did they end up finding you? Is it through the website?
They ended up finding me through mutual friend, and then went on the site and then filled out the information.
Nice.
So more referral based, I guess, or just talking. Yeah, just natural networking.
Yeah, well, like I always say, it always kind of works together. Because if you didn't have your website, maybe she wouldn't have reached out to you. She probably went on your website to kind of look at some of your work first. So what if you could give a name to her, what would you say her name is?
Name would be let's go Nika Brown.
And she's female. How old do you think she is?
Age of 29 and 35. So I would say like more 30.
We'll go 30. And I take it she's married?
She is actually single.
Single. Where would you say she lives?
In a warmer climate. So Silicon Valley / Atlanta.
We'll go Silicon Valley. What is her job title?
Global lead. Was it global lead? Global lead strategist. No, super random.
So we'll say she's, I know companies tend to make names up all the time. Leads, we'll just say lead specialist. What do you think her income is around?
Making six figures. So probably about 121,000.
So
But, you know, that means nothing in Silicon Valley. That's like,
so 100. Did you say 21,000 or did you say 100?
25, 120K.
120K. And you say she has her MBA as well?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yep, here.
You take it she has her MBA?
I'm sorry, I thought you heard me. Yeah, she does.
And since you've talked to her, does it seem like she's the decision maker, or does she still have to kind of go through her boss to kind of make the final decision?
She controls the budget. Yeah, so I guess final decision maker. She does have someone that's a peer above her, but she has the ability to.
Approve?
She has control of the budget still. Yeah, I mean, approve stuff. Yeah. Feels like it's easier doing it this time.
So, what do you think her goals are? I mean, you've had a couple talks with a girl similar to this, and so when you kind of tried to perceive her value, what does it look like she values as in her goals in her life?
Well, a hardworking woman that you could tell that she wants to be a leader of many people. So she's like an alpha woman. Goal wise, she wants to be a CEO one day. Hard worker, respected by her peers and superiors. But definitely want to climb the corporate ladder, or if they're CEO already, to make sure their their employees are like taken well care of.
So with that said, what are her values then? And we know her goals are she wants to be a leader, which means she really likes to work with people. She wants to be a CEO one day, and she wants to be respected. So for her values, what do you think she looks at when she interacts with other people?
She interacts with other people. Her values. I'm trying to think. When she interacts with other people, like she's very She respects other people. If they're disrespect her, she's make sure people. They're very transparent, very honest, and keeps integrity. Just very straightforward person that easy to talk to, easy to do business with. Doesn't take any BS. Doesn't take a lot of BS, but a straight shooter, pretty much.
What would you say her challenges are?
Likes to have their hand in the pot too much. Of sometimes treating people well and stuff, but likes to be a part of it too much and not let people just work. So
she needs to learn to. I mean, I'm going through this kind of challenge right now with my business. So she needs to let go of the control a little bit. She needs to trust other people, and relieve be able to relieve control.
Exactly.
I'm going to say trust employees and trust other people. And so what do you think her pain points are?
Pain points. I would say pain points has developed thinks they can do like everything, but like know that they are limited, so they have to hire out for a lot of work. In regarding video creative, let me see, not creative. Yeah, specific skill sets within creative. So like they can come up with strategy, but they're not good at making that strategy come to life.
So pain points would be pain points would be quality work, time. I would say time is probably one of her biggest pain points because, well, not really time, communication. Because if she's already, her pain point is relieving control. If her challenges are, being able to relieve control, I know from my perspective, the way I can relieve control is if I have good communication. I'm willing to relieve control if, I'm working with people that are willing to give me the nitty gritty up front, willing to give me the situation up front, be able to talk to me and communicate with me. And that's the best way for me to know that they're doing their job. So I think communication is probably a big pain point for her. We're going to do the same.
True.
We're going to do the same thing for her. We're going to keep these places they're looking at up here. And that way you can kind of go through after the call when you have 15 minutes or something like that and kind of use these as an example for both of these to kind of pick some competitors that you think might fit well with where she's looking besides you. Let's go into their objections, and that kind of relieves onto their pain point. So when you're talking to her as an individual, what do you think is some of the reasons why she would not purchase from you?
She wouldn't purchase from me if I was a one-trick pony. They like that they like that I can do all. I can specialize in all services and not just one. Because example could be, hey, if I just create the video and that's it, they need to market the video and get it out there so they can make money. So I can do that as well. So I think that's one thing that they do like, and like, in the so like they don't want someone who can't do both.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
In 10 miles, take exit 55 on left, turn on I-90 west toward US 219.
What other kind of objections do you think she kind of goes through?
I think pricing could be for everybody. I think pricing could be an issue, but like not really. Like they have a budget. Actually, I have a solid budget, but it comes down to, is it being used effectively? And they're very like nitty gritty about that. They just want to make sure like you show the details of what is actually being shown and not. The details of what's being put out on the contract and not just like, here's the price, this is what it costs, and not really breaking down what you're going to do. So like they're just very detail oriented. So price could come into play if it's not broken down correctly.
I think it's details because I agree with you. She works in a controlled budget. So they need to be able to know where the money's going, even if she doesn't want to. They have to for legal reasons. And so I think details are not just specific to pricing. I think that it's down to details of work and stuff as well. And with that, I also think that it's not really the pricing. I think it's the value, because like you said, value / risk, because if this client was going to hire you, they're willing to pay more money if you have the details, and that minimizes their risk. So they know
Right.
they trust you with the value. The price isn't as much of an issue. It's more so the risk involved with that. So I
Right.
think that I can't turn that off. Go away.
Okay.
Just hold on a second until that goes away. It's not giving me the option to turn it off on my screen. There it goes. Freaking iPhones. Are you there? Hello?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Oh, you did put it in things. Okay, so we have risk, value. So top 3 considerations before buying. So let's say that you've talked to her and she knows you're not a one-trick pony. She knows there's details, that the value and risk is there. What would be her considerations? Like, let's say she was at the bottom of the funnel, she was ready to purchase, it was between you and one other person. What would be kind of her considerations before she was willing to work with you or talk with you?
I think what it would come down to is case studies, maybe a case study or two, and then just quality of work. And if that passes their eye test, then that would pretty much close. And then having good closing deal, like good closing talk, to make them feel comfortable, make them feel that the process, there goes on. The process has to be smooth. It can't just be random all over. There has to be a smooth process for them, smooth workflow. And as long as you have that, I think that will help. At the end of the day, will help the company, whoever wins that battle, it's going to win the contract.
Yeah, process is always key to anything you're doing. So we're going to keep the competitors there. What is the background? She's 30. She's single. Makes about $120 a year. What is her specific problems? We're going to go top 3 considerations before buying. One-trick pony. So, kind of like we did last time here. Dang it. Like we did last time, let's go in and try to come up with a really quick elevator pitch that we could we can try to write for her. The last one we did with what's his name with Zach was, we realized we kind of came down with the elevator pitch, and this is really just to define the voice a little bit that you're kind of going across. why not buy for quality? And we kind of thought about the process of giving questions for these people, because giving questions with simple answers, because we think that might make it a lot easier for that prospect to kind of with objection selling. So basically already kind of showing the objection before you write the content. So that's what we did for him. With her, it's probably a little more, our voice is probably going to be a little more tailored around, probably we'll say less so the excitement and more the sincere side. So if we look at this, we have sincere, honest, and down to earth. I think these are the three that really fit well with what she's kind of looking for, as well as the hardworking, et cetera, et cetera. So if we were to think of a really quick elevator pitch to sell to this audience, and we say she's in with the job she does, let's try to think of a quick elevator pitch that we could say to her that would help define her being like, oh, I'm very interested in talking to this person. So if you're trying to sell a video to her and you've never met, and she's ads or one of your social media posts or something like that, how would we portray your quality and your risk/value without 100% selling, if that makes sense?
Don't you get tired of videos that don't have that modern feel to them, that when you look at a video you fall asleep? That's not that. Oh, dang! I was. That's not what's. That's not our videos. With our videos, we have a modern touch, modern flair to them, seamless transitions. What does that mean? That means that when you watch the videos, your audience is constantly paying attention to them. They're constantly intrigued. If you on social media, you have 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. So with our videos, we're to keep them all in for however long the video is, because those first 3 seconds and 15 seconds on, we're pulling them in with content that's gonna really
Exit 55 on the left to merge onto I-90 west toward US 219.
With content that's going to push their emotional response button and want them coming back for more. Yeah, I know that was too long. Well, that's you said 30 seconds. So.
Exit left. For 167 miles, continue straight.
Sorry, I'm just thinking. Trying to stay awake, we pull people in. Let's do something. Let's not do a question. Trying to stay awake. Let's focus more on want to be straightforward. We want to kind of mention, I think we need to mention something very similar to the trying to stay awake aspect. I just like that we pull people in. We pull people in.
Are you tired of falling asleep to not? Sounds like the old infomercial.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't. That's why. And we already have kind of voice up top. We pull people in the amount of time it takes. What's something that takes? Well, we know that she's 30, so she's and we need to be straightforward. She likes to deal with numbers. I would say in the amount of time it takes to buy a cup of coffee, but that takes longer than 15 seconds nowadays, even with drive-thrus. Why don't you think about that one? Because the next one's going to be, we're going to kind of dive in a little bit more into the voice. So we're going to we kind of have you have to be straightforward with this.
Right.
So
pull the people in.
These two aren't meant to be the actual elevator pitch. They're more so just to kind of get an idea of what, your voice is going to be like for these people. So we know up front that, Zach's going to be a little more, let's hit with an objection right away.
Right.
And we answer with a simple clarification depending on what you're talking about. And you can get pretty clever with that. So her, on the other hand, she's going to be a little more straightforward and maybe a little more, I'm not going to say sarcastic, but a little more punny, but a little more, you just have to be straightforward with her on quality and process. So
I mean, they work. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say, well, they're not super uptight, but like they have that serious side to them. But they work for a company that's like, they want people to loosen up and not be.
Yeah, I want people
serious about their job, but yeah.
So let's do that. So let's go to the next exercise, the last exercise, and this is really going to define the brand voice a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is, since we're only doing 2 profiles right now, let's kind of go through and let's go through with the customer profiles we kind of created. Let's go through and pick the 5 as an example, the value, like what do they value the most? So let's kind of go through the 5 ones here that 5 or 4? 4. Let's go through the 4 here that you think these customers would value the most out of all of these, and let's go off those. So what I'm thinking off the top of my head is we want to stick away from technical. That's a 3. We want to secure and intelligent might be reaching a little bit. I don't think they're really looking for intelligence that much, just because they both understand that, I don't know, the first customer profile might be a little want intelligence, but I know your second fan profile may want, the fan of your company may want someone a little more, that she understands that that she's looking for someone that can do multiple things. So she understands that you have employees, that you're kind of the puppet master of your own agency. So she kind of understands that you're going to have people under you. So she just wants to know that she can value you. So if we were to look at these, which one of these 4 do you think work the best for these? Which traits do you think work the best for these 2 customer profiles?
So here. So I'll definitely say, you said out of within sincerity. Sorry. Sincerity.
Sincere.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm saying within the sincerity category too.
No, we're only picking 4. So go through all the 5s that you like out of here, and let's pick the top 4 out of all of.
Gotcha. All right. So let's go down to earth. Let's go. Let's go. Successful.
Successful.
Imaginative after that one.
You still there?
Yeah. Let's go. I thought smooth as fuck. Confident.
Where is it?
Oh, it's under competence. Confident and unique.
I like confident because it really relates to the asking the question for him. So we could kind of go in here and we're going to put these 4. Now we're going to go description. So a description is, let's take these values that we've come up with and let's kind of come up with a description for each one of these. So we're going to go through all of down to earth first, and then we'll move forward. So if we were to say down to earth, let's describe it. Let's describe how. And for an example, you can look at honest, and honest is, you know, straight shooter who puts results behind words. So if we were going to say you were down to earth, what would be a good description in your mind for the way that you were talking when you were using this kind of terminology? I think when we think down to earth, go ahead.
So to say like less corporate talk and more like simplified, like using the KISS method, keeping it simple instead of like overthinking. So like within our speech, just having a conversation with someone, not being so uptight, mega professional, to where it's like, okay, is where it's not uncomfortable, but just where like you don't get a chance to like know the other person.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you're kind of going in and talking to these people through social media or through phone calls or even just through your social posts, you're going to keep things less corporate. You're not going to go in and you're going to, you know, just kind of be down to earth a little bit more. And unless so, I mean, you see a lot of posts, a lot of the really big corporate companies are very corporate and technical. Like, oh, this does this, when a lot of people read that and they're like, I don't even know what that means. And so I think that really makes sense. So when you do the do's here, what are some of the do's for when you're writing in this terminology? So for example, honest would be, you like to mention your values, values as a business. You like to be honest with them, so you like to mention your values. So what would be a do? What would be a do for when you're talking within this kind of writing style?
Dudes, let it come out naturally and not forced.
And that
Seem
would be not forced.
yeah. And naturally authentic. Transparent.
I mean, I think that's a good one because it's down to earth and very similar to honest. And in my opinion, is if it's coming out naturally and authentic. You really want to have your voice just let it come out naturally, but transparent. So, you know, if you are trying to, you know, sell services or sell something, you can be like, hey, I mean, like, hey, yeah, you know, we sell videos. It's kind of what we do. We sell videos. We rely on process. It's kind of our, it's very straightforward. It's very down to earth that you can do that, and not forced is more like, oh, you're going to go in and right away you're going to make an ad, or you're going to try to you know, go right.
We're gonna make that.
Yeah, you're not going to go in and be like, oh, all right, it's forced, but I'm going to, you know, throw in pricing right off the bat here, or I'm going to reach out to this company and say, hey, I want to work with you. You know, like that feels forced to me. You want it to come naturally. You want it to happen naturally. So if you do reach out to people, it's more so, or people do comment back on you, and it's less so, hey, let's talk and we can do business. It's more so, hey, I love what you're doing. That looks like you're doing some great work. And you know, that's more of the down to earth aspect, without feeling that you're forcing your words to them. So if you were to look at both of your personas, which one of these two do you think is more going to want this kind of, that's going to value this trait more?
Probably Nikki, because of the company that she works for. Since they're more, laid back. I mean, they're both based out of California. They're both making 6 figures, and what else was it? And it's both high ticket clients. So, it's gonna come down to like who's more lax, less technical. Yeah, less technical and more. Yeah, like you said, down to earth. Less technical, more down to earth. Less corporate.
So let's move on. Let's move on to success. If we were to look at success, what would we kind of how would we kind of describe successful if we were going to have if we were going to write about, you know, success?
So what is success? Customer, so like a success between us and the customer, like what the case, like a case study type of success, like that, explaining it like that, or
just the way you're going to talk. So
okay,
the way you're going to talk. So when you're talking more down to earth, it's going to be a little less, you know, you're going to be a little less corporate talk. You're going to be more simplistic with your talk. Now, when you're talking when you're bringing on the value of success, yes, it could be when you're talking about your case studies or you're talking about the success that you bring. But how are you going to verbally do that now that you see both these customers without, and we'll get into the don'ts here in a minute, but how are you going to write about your success without coming off, you know, cocky? Exactly.
Gotcha. Humble and transparent approach. So breaking it down about where we are, where we have been, where we started and where we are now, and then where we're going. And yeah, breaking it that way.
I like where we're going. So I'm going to put description, humble, and transparent. And I'm going to say the do's is where we are going. Talk about, you know, mention where we are going. I kind of like that a little bit more about if you really think about it, you said where we were going and where our past was, but the more I think about it, I think this is a light went on in my head with this one is I think that you would have more success in writing. That's funny. I say more success, but you'd be embraced more by your target, these targets, these fans. If you're not talking about, yes, past accomplishments are great, but if you're talking about future accomplishments, where you're trying to go, I think that brings on the humble. It brings on you're transparent. Hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to achieve in our business. So when you talk about the past, it's great. You can show case studies. You can do all that stuff. You can have them on your website. But if you're going on and you're always talking about, oh, this is the work that we've done. This is how we do this. This is how we do that. That might come off a little bit. I'm not going to say cocky, but these kind of personalities may not want to see your case studies up front because that's not where their values lie. They're not looking at the value of the work. Well, they could be. We'll do the persona in a bit, but which persona fits with more. But it might. I think mentioning where we are at, I think talking more about where you're going and what you're doing is very humble. I think it's also very down to earth on, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve and we enjoy what we do. And this is how we're planning on get there. Or if you're giving shout outs to certain people for this or for that, for them having good videos as well, or it looks like they're trying to achieve something similar to us. I think that's really going to resonate more with these personas than actually talking about just throwing up case studies, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So I would say the don'ts to this would be don't oversell past accomplishments. I mean, because you're still going to be able to, I say don't oversell. I'm more so don't share. I like don't undersell past accomplishments. What do you see? What do you see? Which persona do you think really fits with this successful? It's funny because when I was first kind of looking at this, I was really thinking this would fit with Zach. But now that we've kind of come up with the do's and the don'ts, I kind of think it fits with Nikki more than it fits with Zach. I mean, it could be both. But I think Zach will be a little bit more inclined to want to see those past accomplishments. But I think that, I don't know. I actually think this persona might fit for both of them. What do you think?
I think they would.
Go on to imaginative. I think this one really fits with the question one that we kind of put above. You're being very creative and like to appeal to objection through questions. So I think this one works very well for this one. We kind of talked about Zach and kind of the messaging that we could bring for him. So that means asking lots of questions, appealing their objections with that. So one thing that I would say do on this one is kind of relating to the success and down to earth. Ask questions
So doing a deep dive to ask questions ask questions to the client, get what they're trying to do and help turn it into the visual they need. So that's the imaginative part. A don't is to ask the client, constantly ask them questions and not deliver on that, or not make it visual for them, not create that need, or make it for that premium they're paying for, not getting it done the right way.
I like constantly ask questions that don't make sense. That could be a good way to do it. So who do you think this persona really fits with?
I'm gonna stick with, imaginative. I think Zach, because he needs that creative juice from what we talked about. So Zach, that would stick with Zach more. I feel like Nikki said she is creative already, but she just needs to execute on the creative.
All right, now let's look at confident. Confident.
Not being cocky, but just being able to like speak proudly about your services. So proudly about our services and what we do, but not cocky though. Just very like confident.
I like more so speak proudly of not services, but speak proudly of abilities.
Like that.
And then for the dues would be mentioning processes and timelines effectively. All right, and the don'ts was cocky. So who do you think is I think this one goes for both. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
And now we're going to go back and do one other thing. We're going to look at down to earth, and we're going to put underneath it, because the persona it reacts well with, Zach wouldn't respond as well with down to earth. So we're going to put Zach wouldn't respond quite as well for that one. And so it looks like to me, we have Nikki's great with down to earth, that persona, the imaginative, Nikki wouldn't respond as well up front, and which is funny because she would like more of the confidence, and it's because she wants you to be a little more down to earth up front and less imaginative when you're writing for her. So we're gonna put Nikki wouldn't respond. So the takeaways of this, I think overall, are now you kind of have a rough idea of if you or any of your team were to write social media posts, or even your sales reps, or anyone in with what you do, if you're just trying to reach out to people through social media in your voice, we kind of have a brand voice chart now. So I would look at to bring in that initial what brings value to Zach and Nikki, we know off of the bat, oh, okay, when I'm writing these posts, I'm going to be, you know, a little bit more down to earth. I'm going to be a little bit, it's okay that I talk about my successes, be humble about it. I have to be transparent about it. But let's focus a little bit more on where we are trying to go and the accomplishments we are going to kind of do. And that doesn't have to just be products. That can be, or services, or the business. That could be other things too. That could be, hey, we're really trying to achieve and helping this company grow, or we're doing something really great with whatever Nikki's real company is, whatever that persona is. We're doing something really great, and leverage what you're doing at the time with those people, and give them shout outs, and give them as well as give them kudos when you're kind of working with them. And since that works for both of them, and I think that will really help not just the success of other people coming on that are very related to these two, but I think it will also probably help with the referral aspect as well. When you're talking a little bit more imaginative, you know, or like we said, let's we kind of have those two pitches up top that you can kind of write. You'll write after the call. We'll throw them in. We'll throw them in here. I'll send these over to you, and you have time to think about some of your competitors now. And I think your main goal at this point is to try to find competitors that you think, or other players, or whatever you feel are personal brands that you feel that, and they don't have to be, competitors don't have to be bad. Competitors can be, I mean, I see a lot of other athletes focus on, oh, I really look up to this player, or I really look up to this player. And it seems like they're trying to do something very similar as I am, with the way they're trying to talk, the way they're trying to promote their brand. So I think that you can try to find people, not just from a negative perspective that you want to compete with, but there's nothing wrong with positive competitiveness. So trying to find, you know, so I think the goal is to find a few people that we can fill out these finish these customer profiles, and are these fan profiles, and we can kind of dive into those pitches. And so I think that's a good goal for you, is to find some of those competitors. You can just send them over to me, and you'll have these, but I'll go in and update them and send them back over to you once you have an idea. And maybe a couple pitches. I mean, off the bat, I'm thinking, if we look here, we know that what's a good elevator pitch for Zach. We know now that he really has 3 of these, but if we're really looking into it, the successfulness and the confidence is really what speaks to him, and even the imaginative. So we can start off with a question, and we can kind of finish off with some confidence and success. Why not buy for quality? And we could kind of go off of something. Why not buy for quality? We had such a good run when we were doing this last time, and now I kind of forgot where we were at with it. And we can talk about something in the future, so we can possibly even use the traits in here. Successful, down to earth. So we can go successful companies.
Why not buy for quality? Successful companies that utilize branding.
Successful companies utilize, and we're down to earth. So we're down to earth. We have to mention success. Humble. So we want to be humble. We want to be appeal to objection through questions. So we have that. We want to deep dive. Well, that's more when you're writing other stuff. Mention where we are at. Let's kind of go off of the 3. Let's stick away from down to earth right now. We're going to go, successful and confident. So, processes and where you were going. So how do we kind of bring in that How do we really bring in that?
Post something in the chat here. Let me know what you think. It's one on our site, but I was wondering maybe we can like mix it in with this one.
I like this first part. Successful marketing, branding done right yields benefits. I think we just take this right here and go quality done right yields benefits such as improvement, image, and identity. So we're gonna do this. Why not buy for quality? And we're gonna go quality yields benefits such as increasing customer. And that way, I hate when it doesn't autocorrect for me. We're just going to keep that for now. Improves image and relatable identity. So I think that off the bat, for him at least, that shows confidence, because you're basically confidently showing, hey, this is what quality yields. Like this is what it does, and it's also showing success because you're being transparent. You're not overselling. You're not selling any sort of past accomplishments, and you're basically telling them how it is, which shows your success by the way you're bringing this up, and that also helps with Nikki as well. So I think having, straightforward and talking about without going into the technical and stuff, you can kind of bring in this type of writing that really you ask a straightforward, down to earth question that really kind of shows your success as someone in the industry, as well as brings value through your confidence by just basically telling it how it is. Quality yields benefits such as increases loyal, improves image, and reliable. So what my recommendation is, after you kind of sit down and resonate with this, when you're trying to do any sort of writing with the social media side, or organically, or even your ads, this could be, off the bat now, always say, who am I writing for? You can always say, who am I writing for? What is my main goal? And you'll kind of be able to tailor your messaging around knowing that, hey, remember Zach Johnson, this is the kind of person I'm looking at, even down to when you're kind of creating your ads and your targeting and all that nifty stuff. These are the type of people I'm looking for. This is the age range I'm looking for. And yes, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to just say 35. You could go 30 to 40 or something like that. But these will help you bring in more of those fans, or more of those people that resonate with you and want to follow your stuff, want to listen to your stuff, and all that nifty stuff. Now, when we go to Nikki, if we go back to her, we can kind of say she's very down to, she's her only one that we put her under by herself, kind of like Zach was more imaginative. And I think we did a good job with Zach with appealing to a question, but I think with her, we have to be a little bit more down to earth, less corporate talky. So the last one was a little more corporate talky. This one will have to be a little less corporate. We'll want to a little bit more simplified talk. We'll want to, be humble. So you want it to be a little more down to earth. but also really portray on that confidence and speak proudly of your abilities.
Right.
We pull people in the amount of time it takes you to.
Amount of time it takes you to blink your eyes. It's corny.
It is, but marketing.
we put you in the amount of time it takes you to I'm trying to think something quick. We put you.
No, it doesn't even have to be 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds or less. So you could easily say, you know what?
Scroll.
We have to be down to earth with her. We have to be confident, and we have to show success. So how do we do that? And the less words it is, it's funny. You think of Nike, just do it. Like, look at Nike's just do it. That shows confidence. It shows energy, and it shows their success in the way of just saying, hey, we just want you to do it, man. Like, yeah, we're just do it. Like, and that broadens so much. So you can easily come in here and say, do something very similar with these. They don't have to be 30 seconds. It's not like when you're talking where they can be more of a tagline, more of this and that. So we could easily, say, hey, we want to be down to earth. So when you're down to earth, it has to come naturally. So what I want you to just say what comes naturally to your head right now, because that's basically the key to down to earth, like you said, is we want it to come naturally. So I want you just to spray in your head like the first thing that comes to your mind when you're thinking about pulling people in.
Pull people in the amount of time it takes you to.
And we don't even have to do the amount of time. We can just say, we could even do something that goes,
We help you pull people in. Coming back for more. We help you pull people in.
We help people want
to come back for more. We want to help pull people in to.
I don't even say
help.
I kind of like if we're down to earth and we're showing success, we don't specifically want to talk to the audience. We want to be down to earth, but we want to just kind of say, I like the pulling people in. I think that shows, but you want to also be down to earth. So I kind of like just going, we want to be straightforward and down to earth. So I just kind of like, we pull people.
We pull people in. We pull people in. Matter of second. Pull people in. I don't know. Something in my head is like talking about that emotional response button.
Yeah.
Something with that word. You'll see where it's like, so we pull people in and activate. I don't know, that's corny. Pull people in and push their emotional response button.
I like the word emotions, because you're kind of being down to earth. You're just kind of letting them know, hey, we help.
Pull people in. We help pull people in through emotional. We let emotions.
I don't know. It could be cheesy.
We let emotions create engagement.
I know it's hard. So I kind of like we let emotions be your pulling factor, or I don't want to put the word help in there. I just feel like help is it's kind of
Everybody uses it.
So let's do this. So we kind of have a rough idea now. We're kind of almost out of time here, so let's give you time to sit on this. Let's sit on this for like a week, and what you and I will do is, if you're free next week, the time has changed. Let's just have a quick call, like a 15-minute call next week, unless you can send me something over sooner, and you can think about this a little bit, because the whole point of this coming up with these fan profiles is to really help you start to think about how you're going to be talking to these audiences, and not just over the phone, but more so when you're writing digitally on social media and you're talking about certain things, so that you can come up with a game plan on how you're going to not just market, but how you're going to resonate with these types of people.
Right.
So I think that we're at a good step now, where if, let's say, you were to go to your writers and you were to say, hey, man, let's just get started. Here are the customer profiles. Let's get some content going. I think it would be a good step for them, because that's their kind of job. But if you're at the point where you're like, hey, I'm going to be posting myself, I think that we may need to, let you sit on it for like a week, and possibly next week just have a quick call to kind of see what you came up with.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, no, that sounds good. I think let me sit down on that. I think it's like it's in there, it's in my head, and it's just like not coming out. It's not coming out. I gotta just make it sound smooth.
No, that's why content writing is that's why content writing is so challenging for a lot of people. I mean, you want it to be smooth. And you have to remember, with her, you don't want it to feel, with this kind of this audience, this fan, you don't want it to, feel forced. So right now we're trying to think off the top of our head with like 10 minutes. So that's going to make it be forced. So let's let you sit on it. And I bet you anything, when you're out for your birthday tonight with your friends, you'll probably be like, oh, like, that's a good idea. I'm just going to say something like that. And then that will be it.
Right. And that's where most of those ideas come from. That's funny.
I know last time we talked about Zach Johnson and Nikki Brown. And I know you kind of already have those kinds of fans of what you are trying to promote your voice around. And we've kind of talked about that. Now that you've had a little bit of time, have you been able to find other athletes or other brands that you feel kind of try to tailor the same voice that you're trying to do?
Competitors, right?
Yeah, they can be competitors. They don't have to. They can just be people you look up to as well. Other brands that you may look up to. I mean, keep your friends, closer and your enemies closer.
Mm-hmm.
And so friendly competition. They could be someone that you just look up to as another athlete. They could be that's doing something very similar to you. They could be a competitor in a brand sort of way that you may found on the web. So is there anyone in particular?
I mean, company-wise, there's a company called Scorpion that does a lot of like video production. You know them?
Yeah, I know Scorpion. They're one of my competitors that I look at for.
Yeah, they do a good job of just like scaling their business. I mean, they got funded, so like that's easy for them. But they keep it consistent on their end, working with like law firms and stuff like that, and they found their niche. So like they just scale from there, and they do it consistently. And they're a big company, so like it makes it easier for them to talk to folks. Malcolm Media is another one. They just focus mainly on production aspect of stuff. So like they'll do animation and They work with, they'll just do a whole bunch of stuff, but like they don't really do like a lot of brand strategy stuff. I mean, technically, like you actually on projects, you're kind of doing that regardless. If you're working with a company, like, hey, we need to make sure it tailors to this brand, and so you're technically doing that regardless. So like that, those big companies, it was that, and then Vander Media, obviously, I like to watch what but his stuff,
His stuff's more tailored. His stuff's more tailored to the broad audience, and so he really focuses on. Hey, let's hit every angle here as possible, and my niche will just come to me instead of just focusing strictly on a niche, or a customer, or a type of customer or voice. He's just more so, hey, I can do this. I was already big enough, and now I'm just gonna rant as much as possible, and whoever comes, and he's got that. That's where I usually tell people to go, my clients to go once they, get to that point where it's like, all right, well, I have a few clients on board. I'm making a good living, and now it's all about more. Now let's really push the brand awareness, and less so the lead side, is broaden yourself out a little bit. And I mean, that goes the same as Scorpion. I mean, Scorpion's very similar to that in the fact that they do focus. I mean, I don't know if you looked at their website before it was just rebranded, but they had different tiers of like Scorpion for law firms, Scorpion. So they had multiple verticals, and they tailored each section of their website to that vertical, which is a common practice, but they actually tailored the color scheme of it and all that stuff, and pushed towards different verticals. And the hard part with that is their voice has to be different with each vertical. So they're big enough now that they're like, all right, let's tailor our voice and our messaging for this audience this way. Let's tailor it this way. And I agree with you. I think that that's a good place to eventually go. But I don't know. Do you see Zach Johnson and Nikki Brown? I mean, when I look at them, I don't know if I necessarily see them. I've never heard of Malcolm Media, but do you necessarily see either of them go towards these competitors of yours? Do you see them going, oh, I like the way Scorpion talks. I like the way what they're doing. Or do you feel that might be a little, I look at Zach Johnson and I see becoming better at attention to detail, giving back for his giving back. I feel like he wants to become a CEO. I feel like his challenges are quality of deliverables, time management. And when you work with a big company that like Scorpion or Vander Media, the one thing that you don't get is the quality of deliverables usually goes down a little bit. But the time management, because it's all up to the agency at that point, on their deliverables. And so to me, it seems like those companies, Scorpion in general, even Vander Media, I don't know how he keeps his inner workings a little bit more secret. But I feel like those companies might be a little too intimidating for someone like Zach Johnson. They might want someone a little more personable. And I think that goes back to what you said with the brand discovery, when we kind of talked about your voice and being down to earth, not just confident, but being down to earth, and imaginative, because I feel like you're really going to be able to pronounce that a little bit more. And that's more what appeals to these audiences is that fact that your voice is going to be a little more, you're going to be able to tailor the values of your business and your terms a little more creative, because you do have an agency that very similar to mine, where it's not about mass production and having thousands of clients. It's about, hey, let's bring more value and have less clients, so to say. So I think that I don't know. Those could be. We could still put those as competitors. I think that what we need to do is we need to look at those competitors and say, maybe that's what we don't do. You know, maybe you go through and you read some of their messaging and you're able to say, hey, I see how Scorpion does this. How do we do this differently? How do we have our archetype, our voice, tailor less so around, because that looks like one of your traits. Successful is what Scorpion's trying to come across, and VaynerMedia is successful. They're successful, so they know how to make you successful. So the successful trait's still there, and the voice could still be there for that. But if you can bring in a little bit of the imaginative side of things and say, hey, let's see, this works from this end, but this doesn't work. They're too big now, or they don't have enough imagination because they have too many people on board. So So do you think that these three these three competitors appeal to both Zach Johnson and Nikki?
I feel like they can. It might pique their interest to take a look at, but I think, at the end of the day, they want something even more personable, but it may be a company they may take a look at. But there are some others too. There's more of the e-commerce, more personal brands in instance of so one of the people I look at is a guy named Jabril Brigo, and another guy named Von Dennis. Jabril is like him and his boy, and so he has a guy in UK that is his partner. So they have a Facebook ad agency, and they'll do video production as well too on the side, depending on what the client wants. So they've made over $10 million doing that. So like looking at guys like that or / mentors, looking at their model, Vaughn, Google Ad Master, like really, I don't know, he just crushes it in e-commerce. So like looking at, I guess like, and then he works with video production. Like again, everybody contracts out and does that, right? So looking at some of those models and seeing how they're going about it, if they're working with clients, and if it's UK, if it's clients to Cali, Tampa, seeing, just learning how that they're moving and stuff like that. And it's been an interesting process learning that. So I think something like that too is interesting. I think that's a newer way people are doing it, and similar to what we're doing too. So they're constantly flying out to their clients all the time. So that's kind of the model too I've looked at as well. That type of competition, I guess, in a way. I've learned a lot from them, asking them questions about how they build it, taking them time. But I think people look at that too, that personable, high class type feel as well too. Yeah, that makes sense.
So which one of those three would you like to put down here on the buyer personas?
I would say Jabril. Well, I'll say Vaughn actually, because Vaughn gave me more. Von Dennis, yeah. So like that type of model where it's like, yeah, it's kind of like you're on your own doing it, but like you have a full team as well too. But it's like you said, that person is more personable.
Okay, Von Dennis. So let's do this. I mean, can you pull up his website? Do you have his website in front of you by chance?
He works with the agent, so it's like, again, that's the weird part about it. Like he has, let's see.
What about it? So one of his social platforms.
It pop up here. You want to just put it in the chat?
Oh, no, you can keep it open yourself. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, just throw it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, because it won't let me share it.
All right, let's look at
Not which one is Black Label there though.
So off the bat, what I can see here is that he really, looking at your values, he tries to portray success, but he does it in a different way. He doesn't, I mean, he does have a couple pictures of, you know, cars here with him, but if you look at it, it's a little bit different. Like he has a picture of him going up to his Range Rover, which isn't the greatest, fanciest car, but it's also showcasing his confidence on the way he's portraying himself. I think he's trying to portray himself and not just that fake guru status of oh, I have money, I have a big house. He's tending to show his success by his posture, what he's doing, and less so his money. And his success, he shows himself in a suit. He shows himself doing stuff, doing actual meetings. And I mean, he does have some things that go off of his voice a little bit here, his brand image. So I think that really tailors towards the success side. So I think that you can see certain things here. And I'm just going to take one of his posts that I feel really, really intrigued by. And I'm going to say the one where he's in a suit talking to somebody. And he's very, you know, he's showing confidence because he's showing, you know, that, and this value is a little bit different because we're talking about the imagery side, not the voice side. So he talks about, you know, united we ball, divided we fall in this. And I think that really shows he's showing confidence. He's showing success with that tied to the image. I think that he's, you know, showcasing, this one doesn't really showcase the down to earth, but I think that when you look through his whole profile, you definitely can, it's definitely has some imagination to it. The way he has one on here where he's showcasing him getting a tattoo. And I think that showcases, if only for a moment, you see the world the way I see it. So I think that's very imaginative, the way he's not just giving quotes out, but he's showcasing himself in that way and showing the confidence of himself through that post. So if we were to leverage that and we were to look at some of these, let's kind of go into the way Zach Johnson we may be able to write some sort of 30-second pitch. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, and I know we talked about the questions and the stuff like that, and you were going to kind of think over these a little bit. Now that you've kind of looked over some of his posts, maybe we can kind of tailor something that's a little more suitable for Zach Johnson, and nothing not so straightforward, like why not buy quality? Like I like the question aspect, but maybe we tailor it a little bit more around kind of the way he's kind of posting on some of this stuff. So let's kind of brainstorm a little bit here. On the top of my head, maybe we don't talk about quality, but maybe we talk about, and this goes back to your projects. Maybe we kind of say something, maybe we see something along the lines of, I actually like quality yields benefits, such as increasing, actually, you know what? I think I think we can go something off top of our head on, instead of why not buy quality, it shows the confidence and successness of saying something like, have you seen our latest project? That way you're promoting the creativity of basically emphasizing your stuff is quality. And then all you say after that is quality yields benefits. You don't even have to say such as increasing customer loyalty, improving image, and repeatable identity. I think that's something short and sweet, like, have you seen our latest project? And then just say something quality yields benefit, shows you're being, some imaginative, you're being down to earth, because you're asking people kind of like we have a question. So I think you could keep it short like that, but still kind of showcase your confidence that we kind of showcase as and it kind of weeds out those smaller people as well, because the people that will be reading this and taking this in will be already have the benefits of being able to, understand what this means, if that makes sense. So it's already to that point where you're weeding out those people that are still at the very, very beginning, and maybe they don't have the money to bring you on, and they don't really think about quality yet. And you could change this up a little bit, but the overall emphasis of I think this quick 30-second pitch, which really isn't even a second 30 pitch, it's more of a tagline. You could easily change project out with other things, and you could ask different questions, but then lead it with a 2 to 3 word, confident quote or small phrase that kind of emphasizes what you do and how you do it, but kind of hides all of the technical lingo, if that makes sense.
Have you seen our clients? Have you seen our latest projects?
And then you could lead with an answer that shows the confidence of what you do. You're not really being cocky by any means. You're just stating that quality leads results. You're still leaving it to the client, the prospect, to read your post and to determine if your stuff is quality. And it gets them thinking in a way that goes, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy knows what he's doing. He doesn't just sit here and talk about all the technical stuff. He's not 100% teaching me. He's past that moment. He knows what he does. He knows what he does well. And if they don't find what you do of quality, or they don't see that yet, they're not really your customer, So you don't have to worry about those people. It will bring in more of those people. So yeah, leading with a question that can be a little more straightforward. So it doesn't have to be, have you seen our latest project? It could be something like, you're doing your social media post, you're focusing on, and I wouldn't say always use questions, but go on there and ask questions upon the lines of, have any of you been to California? And then you could state something along the lines of, and maybe you have a picture of, a high school football field, or the ocean, or your studio, or one of your cameras that's in your office, and be like, and then you could say something along the lines of quality, or talk about something to do with that scenario without building too much lingo into it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, off the top of my head, and this is where my mind goes, but you could say something along the lines of, like, if you're talking about the ocean, have you been to Cali and seen the ocean? And maybe you just take a picture of the ocean in the fit and the waves. And this is going to be dorky because, again, we're just kind of brainstorming here, but you could mention something about how the waves be like, you know, made these beautiful rocks on the beach, you know, or something like that. You can be like, have you been to these rocks, you know, be like, thank the ocean for these beautiful rocks, or thank the waves for carving these great rocks, or something like that. And that shows confidence. It shows you're being creative. Yeah, you're using the confidence, and it gets people to think a little bit about, oh, this rock didn't just come from the ocean. You know, wasn't just here. It gets people past that perception of, makes them think, you know, themselves. And the people that are thinking about that kind of stuff are the people that you're going to want. It seems like a Zach Johnson, that's the kind of stuff that they're thinking about as they're moving forward. So I would say those would be the kind of things, when you come up with your elevator pitch for this pitch, or even your social media posts, these are the kind of things that you can think about. Is using this brand persona and thinking, all right, how am I going to reach this person? Let's come up with a calendar, and let's come up with verbiage that really speaks towards, you know, getting people to think. That's very imaginative, but still being confident, and asking them a question that I'm giving a somewhat answer to, without just going straight up and just giving people a quote, you know. And it gets people thinking, and I think that's great. What do you think about that?
I like that approach.
Um,
not opposed to it. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't say use questions all the time, because you're not going to be able to, you know, everyone would notice if every single one of your posts and everything that you say. But you could have a tagline that has a question in it. That might be very interesting. So really think about that. And I think that will really help promote towards some of the people. And also, when you're having your pitches with these kind of clients, is asking them questions about, you know, and giving them really diving deep within the value of asking them questions about, how was your latest, you know, blah, 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 and giving them, what is the correct terminology? Analogy, giving them analogies on using, and then you can kind of take some of these in the future and recycle them and say, all right, maybe I'll use these analogies, because once you dive in and you do research on what that company is, it's that target audience, you're going to be able to say, hey, I'm talking to Zach Johnson, but let's say he works for a beer company. You can kind of say, oh, you know, I kind of know him now. I kind of know who I'm talking to. He meets all the steps of being a perfect client. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask him these kind of questions, and then I'm going to yield answers that relate to his industry. So, you know, beer, you know how beer is, you know, maybe you talk more about, you know, you use some sort of analogy on the quality of the beer. What makes their beer quality? And then when he gives you that example, you can kind of come in and say, you know, kind of give him an answer. Well, as you see, quality gives results, you know, and use that analogy towards what you do, and he'll put two and two together at that point. And I think that will be help with the sales too. So I'd keep that in mind. And I know when we work with Nikki now, she's 30, single. Our elevator pitch that we kind of started, we let emotions be your pulling factor. That one's a little more. Did you have any thoughts on that? Let's look through some of these images that Bad Dyson Official would be doing to reach that, to kind of her as a target audience. And I'm not going to go easy here, and I'm not going to find one where he has his shirt off, because that just doesn't. She really wants to be a leader, CEO one day, be respectful, be respected. So you want to find a picture where he's collaborating. He looks like he's higher end. So here's a picture of him working with a few people. And let's see what great things in business are never done by one person. They're usually done by a team of people. And I think that's a great quote right there. How would we tailor that into your 30-second pitch with her? I think that's something that we could really tailor on. I like the emotions because we kind of talked about that before. Emotions aren't
Are you sharing your screen as well?
Sure. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't know if you had the original one up or not. So we could go something like, she really likes someone who's not risky, one-trick pony. That's not a one-trick pony. Wants to be, what is their specific problem? They want to be a leader. They want to be a CEO. And they want to be imaginative. You want to be imaginative, confident, successful, down to earth. So not being too cliche on how we write this, but at the same time, you want to be a little bit of imaginative with and showcase your success. So, and we said that Nikki's great one would be the down to earth one, less corporate talk, more simplistic talk. So I think saying something like, you know, emotions aren't driven by emotions aren't driven by man, I might have to steal some of these, man. What about something like that? I think that kind of
Emotions aren't driven by success. They're inspired by the process. They're inspired by results.
I was thinking about results, but I think that results kind of showcase. I mean, everyone wants results. I mean, any company goes, it's all about the results. It's all about the results. I think because, you know, Nikki's looking for someone a little more that's not a one-trick pony, and you know.
So definitely something about the process. So like, okay, I get you on that. So emotions aren't driven by success. They're inspired by they're inspired by the process. I mean, I don't think you can go really further with that. But like, they're inspired by the process, and yeah, but I think that's inspired by the process of how we go about it. They're inspired. That's emotions aren't driven by success.
Or maybe we change that around. Emotions aren't inspired by the process now. I like it this way better.
They are inspired by.
That's deep, man. That's deep.
Process. Yeah, it is.
So I think what that showcases too is, okay, we're kind of being down to earth because we're not really talking too corporate-y. Yes, it has little thinking to do around it, but you're also showcasing your success without getting too driven into the emotional side, without going too much like technical or like, here's all my money. So you're kind of showcasing your success by confidence. It's not too imaginative. We're not really focusing on any questions. We're not trying to focus on that. We're really just being down to earth and kind of doing less corporate talk, being confident in what you're saying, and you're being, you know, a little bit humble and transparent. I mean, you're basically telling people, hey, you know, people aren't going to buy through success. They're going to, you know, be inspired, which leads to selling through the processes that are you know, involved in that, in everything. So I think like something that's great. Did you have any changes to make that?
No, I believe in that though too. That's one big thing is the process. Like when we got to build something or creating something for the customer, like that's what they want to see. They want to know what's going to be next. After I pay you, what's next?
Yeah.
You can talk about it, but if they can see it, if they can understand it, they can walk. If you walk them, grab their hand and walk them through the process. That's what's going to help them feel confident in everything that's being done. So that's perfect. I think I'm just trying to think. Can you go more? Like, you know, can we go more and add more behind that? I don't even think we can. Like, emotions aren't driven by success. They're driven. Exactly. Emotions aren't driven by success. They are inspired by the process, right? They are inspired by the process.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that you could easily tailor this now around some of your messaging and some of your what you're doing. So now you have a better idea of not just, and I know this mentions in here elevator pitch, like I said, to the buyer, but your elevator pitch, like I said, these could be taglines. This is all meant for your voice, and these are meant for you to tailor your voice. So it's not like we 100% have to go in and be like, we sell products, buy from us. It's more so, how does your voice work for this target audience, these fans of yours, and the way it's gonna resonate with these kind of people is these kinds of phrases. So being down to earth like this, and you can easily switch this up. And I think showcasing from what's his name's social profiles and what he does here is a good example. Is he's showcasing him working with his team. He's showcasing it. You're basically saying what he's saying without going 100%. We have a team that does better than one person. Like, you're not strictly saying that. You're more so, you're saying it in a more, you're saying it in a much more confident and down to earth way, because you're trying to relate to people. So I think that when you're writing towards this audience, so I say that you can kind of take both of these as an example of, and I'll resend this to you after our call, and I'll definitely send it to you right after the call this time. You can take these, and now you can sit down and you could easily not just come up with what you're going to be saying from maybe even coming up with your tagline with the new logo that we developed for you and the new brand identity we developed for you, but you can also come in and you can also come and go, oh, maybe now I have verbiage that I can relate to how I'm going to write my social media posts and the kind of imagery I'm going to put towards these posts,
Right?
Because that's going to resonate with my target a lot more than the people that aren't going to be your fans. Because the people, it's good to have followers, but at the same time, like we've talked about in the past, followers don't equal sales or even sponsorships. If if someone comes in and buys, 100,000 fake followers, it's the same thing as having followers that don't really want to purchase from you. And that resonates with not just sponsors, but it also resonates with people that are going to be purchasing from you. So I think that you could sit down and you could easily come up now with you'd have to think about this and digest these a little bit more, but it also helps with your retargeting. If you're going to go and you're going to do any paid advertisement on Facebook or Instagram, you now have some age groups that you can focus on, and some key terminology that you can kind of focus on towards these kind of people as you kind of optimize those accounts. And you can really think about your copywriting being related to some of this verbiage and the way you're trying to come off successful, but not sounding cocky or like everyone else that's out there. And I think that these will really help you starting to visualize in your head, these are the kind of clients I want. These are the kind of clients they're going to buy. And it's going to make your selling process a lot simpler too, because you're going to be able to speak to their needs and wants